And welcome to Overdrive. I'm Sony. That Mercedes-Benz has many products planned for the Indian market this year. They recently launched the A-Class limousine and now we have the AMG badged variant of the same. It's a more flamboyant version of the A-Class limousine. So let's just check out all the kit it has to offer.
I think I have a thing for yellow AMGs, like the first yellow AMG GT in the country that I drove back in 2015, or the yellow GTR that we unlocked with last year when we took that road trip to Balasinor. Those coupes look stunning in yellow. In fact, I would have a yellow AMG GTR over the green one in a heartbeat. But would I buy a yellow A35 AMG? You know what? Maybe I would, because I don't mind turning up to work wearing a pair of socks or a necktie that has the Tweety Bird and the rest of the Looney Tunes on it. But if you still have to report to an office space, and if going to work in grayscale is your thing, maybe the yellow A35 isn't the car for you. In fact, the A35 AMG may not be the car for you. It is a flamboyant little package aimed at those who are still very young and colourful at heart. And while I did love the previous generation CLA 45 AMG for what it was, I think the A35 looks much sharper and has an even more athletic stance. The simple lines of the regular A-Class sedan make the AMG bits stand out on the A35, like the more aggressive bumpers with the larger air dams and splitters at the front and rear, and the cute little spoiler on the boot lid, which if I was buying, I would specify in carbon fiber. Of course, one can buy some of these things as accessories on a regular A-Class sedan too. And then there are those jokes that people might make about these aerodynamic bits if you never really take your car to the racetrack. But the sound coming out of the A35's twin, fully functional tailpipes should put such concerns to rest. Of course, with the A35, the notes are all there, like the transmission noises, the intake acoustics, the occasional crackles and pops, but they aren't as amplified as a typical AMG V6 or V8. Motivation for all of that comes from an inline 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine. And since you are wondering, this belongs to the M260 family of engines. It's not in the same pin code as the M282, the 1.3-litre engine that was co-developed with Renault for cars like the A200 Petrol. That said, it isn't hand-built either, doesn't have the signature from an AMG engineer, but this engine has been tuned by the team at Affalterbach. But this doesn't feel like a sports car engine that has been tuned or optimized for the road. This feels more like a road engine that has been tuned and optimized for a sports car-like performance. The engine is mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission and redlines around the 6,500 RPM mark, which is very similar to its A200 counterpart. But it will make rapid progress if you rev that high through the gears. When you get the chance, you can go from a standstill to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.8 seconds claimed or 4.9 seconds tested. So if you think about it, under 75 lakh rupees, this could be the only car that gives you a 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds. The steering has a different ratio too, to give you a better sense of feedback and control. And while the stiffness of the chassis or the suspension setup might make this car skip and track over the imperfections in the road, it will make you grin widely around winding roads like these. Unlike the front-wheel driven A-Class, the A35 has a front-engine all-wheel drive configuration, which means that even if you are a bit over-enthusiastic on tighter switchbacks, there's no over or understeer, and you will usually make a dignified and quick corner exit. And around the faster sweeping turns or the wide corners of a racetrack, you will be able to put power down cleanly and get excellent pace around the track despite what the specs might suggest. What I'm trying to say is that the A35 feels very well-mannered. It feels more docile compared to the hooligans that we typically expect from the class of AMG. But those bad boys are going to set you back by a lot more money. In fact, the A35 is a very good starting point in the AMG scheme of things, so to speak, especially if you want something that's a bit more practical compared to something like a C43 coupe. Even though I'm calling the A35 a good starting point, it doesn't feel like you're purely paying for a badge and a few fancy crackles and pops. The cabin welcomes you to the new age design and tech that we've seen in the A-Class limo, replete with the connected tech featuring two 10.25-inch screens, the Hey Mercedes digital assistant, and remote capabilities for the Alexa and Google Home Assistants. And these are just few of the niceties. The cabin has an all-black layout with satin inserts, and it looks best at night when the ambient lighting comes alive. There's the Burmester surround sound audio system to complement the lounge-like vibe, but the speakers are enclosed in a plastic housing and not metal as seen on the more premium Mercedes-Benz cars. The AMG goodies inside the cabin include these red stitches that you see on the steering or the upholstery, and also these matching seat belts that hold you in place in these snug sport seats. But if I was buying, I would have loved to specify this car with the AMG performance seats, which hold you in place, which hug you when you up the pace through the corners thanks to their active bolstering. Unfortunately, those performance seats aren't available even as an option on this particular car because the A35 sedan in India is a CKD. Well, those performance seats then is a small price to pay for the accessible or the relatively more accessible price tag that this car brings to the table.
Do you think the Mercedes A35 AMG will garner as much traction in the Indian market as Mercedes-Benz India do? Let us know in the comment section on our YouTube channel. We'll take a quick break here on the show. Coming up on the other side, we get you the review back here with us on Overdrive. Up next, we have the first ever locally produced M performance model from BMW. In fact, it's the first of many of the performance models which is expected in the country. The M340i is powered by one of BMW's best engines, and coupled with the xDrive all-wheel drive system, it just makes it more fun, and there's a lot of sideways action that can be expected. Let's take a look.
Half a second, that's how long it takes to blink your eyes on a bad day. And with the new BMW M340i being just half a second behind the all-new M3 in the run to 100 kmph from standstill, we're talking 4.4 seconds here. You've got to ask yourself if you'd even need an M3 at all.
Sure, this might not be a full-blown M, but I really don't know how you're going to be able to use any more than this on our roads. Diving right into the technicalities, B58 3-litre inline 6 uses a twin-scroll single turbocharger, and in this application it's been tweaked. A lot of cooling enhancements, a little bit of extra power up to nearly 400 PS and 500 Newton meters of torque, which represents a healthy increase over the 330i, the other petrol currently in the range. Now, it's not uncommon for these high horsepower cars to feel completely out of their depth on these kind of roads, you know, these tight winding country roads, the ones that can really be a lot of fun without you needing to go very fast. And the M340 feels perfectly at home here. It's got that strong slug of torque available from down low. I mean, you feel the boost building at 1600 RPM, and it stays strong, it stays proper strong. Spec sheet says that it peaks at about 5000 RPM, but this thing revs out to nearly 7000 RPM, and trust me, it doesn't feel like it lets off at any point.
Our tested 4.4 second run to 100 kmph is impressive, as are the roll-on figures, but what's even more impressive are the fuel efficiency figures we managed in the M340i, really cementing its everyday usability. The M340i only adds subtle touches like the cerium grey highlights outside and the M-specific touches inside without messing with the immense practicality, comfort and space of the G23 series. It's even been fitted with the same somewhat plain looking 18-inch wheels as the regular car, and that's a downer, though 19s are optional extras.
The whole car just comes together around you with such grace, such fluidity. I mean, I'm being ham-handed and the car is just pulling itself together around me. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant what this chassis and this drivetrain are capable of. What I absolutely love about the 340i is just how playful it lets you get. And the best part is that the electronics help you rein it in. So there absolutely is no way for you to overcook it unless you're being really, really stupid. This thing is so much fun. While I really feel that the steering's better than what's on the Z4, which felt quite artificial, that's not to say that this is completely brimming with feedback either. It's acceptable, and the good thing is this chassis just feels so strong that you feel what the car is saying through the seat of your pants rather than your palms. That's not entirely a bad thing, especially since there's so much feedback even coming in through the brake pedal. You can feel it when it's right on the limits of adhesion and it's quite far down. This M340i occupies a very unique place in the whole BMW lineup because it's a BMW sedan. It's been worked on by M Performance, but it has xDrive all-wheel drive, which sort of makes it like the M5 in a way. It's also got a clutch pack in the middle of the car to help send some torque to the front, pull you out of sticky situations, and it definitely does help, especially those times when you feel like you're going to overcook it. Of course, the electronics don't let you do that, but it's also sending part of the front wheels to just kind of pull you out, settle the balance of the car. What also contributes to this car's just beautiful poise and agility on its feet is really the fact that they haven't gone overboard with the tires. They're reasonably sized. Of course, anything under a 50-section profile is asking for trouble on our roads, but these don't feel like they're too wide. They just feel like they're the right size for the amount of power and torque that this car produces. So when you do really plant your foot down, it shows you that it's up for fun. And the way it helps you just bring it back all in line, it makes you feel like you're the best driver in the world.
Honestly, if you're looking for a pure driver's car which isn't an SUV, under ₹1 crore, the M340i's only real competition is BMW's own M2 competition.
We'll just take a final break here on the show. Coming up on the other side, we head. Welcome back here with us on Overdrive. Now, the MG Gloucester has impressed us as a very capable off-roader ever since its entry in the Indian market. And it's also a perfect SUV for weekend getaways. So it's no surprise that Bert decided to drive this SUV to up what was known as once the summer capital of British India. I'm talking about Shimla. Now, while there, he also decided to go on a heritage walk accompanied by none other than a celebrated author and historian, Raja Bhasin. Sit back, relax, and let us take you through this timeless journey in the foothills of the Himalayas.